Hello and welcome to The Coming Conflict on March 22nd, 2023. My name is Tom, of course, and this is going to be one heck of a day. So let's get right into it as we talk about the fabric of our republic being torn apart by ideological maniacs and our financial system collapsing, which we've been touching on in our last few videos. So at this point, I'm sure you guys are all well aware that this scumbag Alvin Bragg out of Manhattan is planning to indict President Donald J. Trump. Hearing it could be as soon as today. If you're watching this video later and it's already happened, well, we're still talking about it right now. Before we get into this, please, could you give me a rumble, give me a share, give me a comment, tell me you hate me, tell me you love me, tell me something, because I would really like to build this community, have more of you guys to interact with. Also, follow me on Twitter, Getter, and Truth at Coming Conflict. And yeah, just let me know what you think. Be critical. So, like I was just saying, we have this scumbag about to indict a former president, okay, on nonsense charges that, if at best, are misdemeanors and are 5+ years out of their statute of limitations. I know a lot of people who are on the, well, Trump didn't do this and I'm on the DeSantis train. I need everybody to realize the gravitas of the situation, the gravity, the significance of a political prosecution, which is nothing new for Trump. They've been doing this to him since day one. But a political criminal indictment by a Soros-funded DA out of Manhattan, the precedent that will set will destroy our republic. Period. Hands down. No questions asked. From this point forward, if this is to be allowed to occur, if this goes on, if this happens, our republic, the very fabric of our republic, is shattered. Because what happens when the next president gets in office and has a vendetta, publicizes that vendetta, and either uses the federal government or a district attorney in whatever state wants to make a name for themselves by indicting a former president? The things these Democrats are doing, these are genies that are being taken out of bottles that can't be put back in. The same way that the banking system, they're just rewriting the rules and laws and completely breaking laws and doing things they're not supposed to do. The same way that's destroying our financial system is the same way that these crazy lunatics are destroying the fabric of our nation by just doing whatever the hell they want, because the ends are justified by the means at this point in time without any foresight into the future. So let me get off my soapbox here and let's talk about some of this. I'm seeing all these AI generated images of Donald Trump being arrested, and it's just disgusting. It's like these Blue Anon people who are just, any day now, they're closing in. The walls are closing in on Donald Trump. Orange man's getting arrested. Big Orange Hitler, he's going to jail. He's going to be fingerprinted. They are freaking salivating over this. They are salivating over this. This is their fantasy. These Trump deranged retards. And the DeSantis fans who, for whatever reason, are just like, oh, F Trump. F Trump, I don't care. And I'm going to get into that too, because it's disgusting. You don't have to like Donald Trump to see that this is a problem, people. You don't have to like the man. I do. I'm biased. Hand to God, I'm biased. I got nothing to hide about that. I love Donald J. Trump. Best president of my lifetime. However, even if I didn't, I would be saying that this is wrong. If I was a Joe Biden voter, I would be saying this is wrong, much like Alan Dershowitz is, to his credit. So while we have the the media and the Trump deranged lunatics melting down and creating these images of their sick, perverted fantasies of Donald J. Trump being arrested or whatever the hell gets them off. We have who everybody calls the Republican frontrunner outside Trump, Ron DeSanctimonious, 3 days late to the party on Monday with his little canned press briefing and this stupid little line he made that he made sure to repeat 3 times. I'm going to read it to you. Tell me if you think that this is an appropriate way for a governor to react to a huge overreach of power and an action by a politicized DA that could literally rip our country apart. You tell me if this is an appropriate way for Ron DeSantis to respond. I'm going to give you the one thing that he said in this press briefing from Monday that meant anything, because otherwise it was just garbledygook. He said, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. And he just kept repeating it. And the donors in the crowd, they clapped like seals. Arr, 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 arr. And it was a plane crash for him. He could have done the right thing. He could have stood up and he could have said, and I don't like Tim Pool much, but I'm going to give him credit for this. He made the point on a show the other day. He said, if it was Carrie Lake would go down to Mar-a-Lago and she would physically prohibit anybody from extraditing Donald Trump. That's what leadership is. It doesn't matter if you like him or not. But if it's a former president in your state, and as the governor, you see what's happening is criminal and dangerous to our republic, you go down, you take your meatball ass down to Mar-a-Lago, and you say, over my dead body. But what did Ron DeSanctimonious do? He decided to use this opportunity to just take a backhand at Trump. Just slap him right in the mouth. That's fine. Trump does it to DeSantis. That's fine. It's not about Trump. This is a much bigger issue. And Ron DeSantis just failed on the world stage. And it's been getting back to him clearly because he decided to go on Piers Morgan, of all people, and give a real familial type interview one-on-one with Piers and DeSantis. And he rips Trump's character, chaotic leadership style. And, this is from the New York Post, but the New York Post is, completely anti-Trump, just like Fox News is. And he basically just took the time to just insult Trump, and he's still missing the point. You can insult Trump. Trump has thick skin. It's not going to hurt his feelings. What's hurting people's feelings is the fact that a lot of Trump's base, who for whatever reason became disenchanted with Trump, moved to you, DeSantis, and instead of using your power as the governor, a very powerful man, to help prevent the fabric of our republic being ripped apart by lunatic DAs in Manhattan, you used your time, used the 3 days that it took you to respond to this to come and make a snide comment and not even address the issue. That, sir, that, Mr. DeSantis, that is the problem, and that is why you will never be president. Because all of the support that you did have is now fading. And the core MAGA, the core Trump people will never vote for you. Do you think it's a surprise why George Soros came out and basically endorsed you? Because you cannot win, Mr. DeSantis. You can't win. I would never vote for you. Not after this. I liked you as the governor of Florida. But you have some very, very sketchy neocon roots, some deep state roots, a lot of things that are coming to light right now that I don't like, Mr. DeSantis, and you just screwed the pooch. And I'm going to show you how much you screwed the pooch. Trump at 54% and DeSantis at 28%. And it's just been ticking up and up and up and up for Trump. I'm hearing all these people saying how this arrest or possible arrest will benefit Trump politically. Absolutely it will. Absolutely it will. But it could have also benefited DeSantis politically. He could have got out in front and said no to this corruption, no to this deep state tomfoolery, but he's clearly a pawn. He is the same thing as Obama, as Lindsey Graham, as George Bush. He is the same. He's a feather from the same bird of the neocon establishment, warmongering, just political parasite class. That's you, Ron DeSantis. Anyway, let's move on because there's much other bigger things going on besides Ron DeSantis being an a-hole and I guess it's not bigger than our country being ripped apart, but it's not just our country, we'll say, because Spain, over in Spain, the beautiful European Union with their EU values. Well, apparently Spain doesn't like too much their prime minister, and he barely survived into a confidence vote, which most people probably didn't hear about because French President Emmanuel Macron just went through the same exact thing, and he's expected to have to face another one, I think, tomorrow, possibly today, for Marie Le Pen's party. People are getting mad. People are sick of paying $12 for a dozen eggs. They're sick of working on a rat wheel or on a hamster wheel with no exit, no future. You're just spinning a wheel and doing nothing. And people are starting to wake up. In France, they're burning the entire country down, which I do not advocate. Nobody should be violent. Nobody should be destructive. If you want to protest, make it peaceful and make it impossible for anybody to agent provocateur any kind of violence. But I'm just saying, in France, they've had enough to the point where they're burning the country down. In the UK today, the inflation's going back up, and they're about to shut down the entire country through strikes. Now, I'm not gonna admire any part of any European country, but I will say that the European people seem to have a much better comprehension of how to coordinate themselves and protest things that they find to be discriminatory, abusive, authoritarian, like Emmanuel Macron, who raised the pension age, which is like retirement or Social Security, who raised the pension age by executive fiat, just completely bypassed their Congress and their laws and just did it anyway. After the people have been protesting peacefully for days or weeks, he just said, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. Because these people don't represent you. This is not a European problem. This is a democracy problem. These people don't represent you. Emmanuel Macron, the PM from Spain, all of the freaks and retards, sorry, I don't mean that word in a derogatory sense. I mean it in an insulting sense for the people who occupy Biden's cabinet. All of these people are using us, the citizenry, as a stepping stone to the next globalist institution, because these people are all globalists. And I heard this laid out very well. I can't remember who said it, but if you're the president or the prime minister of a European Union state, you're nothing more than the equivalent of a governor here in the United States. You're not the equivalent of a president, okay? And I'd say you're even more gimped than a governor here because we have federalism and states have a tremendous amount of power here in the United States. Over in the EU, you are subjugate to the unelected bureaucracy that is the EU. So if you're Emmanuel Macron, if you are Boris Johnson, if you are the PM, the Prime Minister from Spain, what incentive do you have to rule with the consent of your people? You have much more incentive to go out and make your point that you will be a good globalist little bitch and do what the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and George Soros say. You're much better off as one of these globalist leaders to completely shaft and subjugate and oppress and abuse your people, so long as it means you're going to get to go to the ECB after this. You're going to get to go to the European Parliament after this. You're going to get to go sit somewhere at the World Economic Forum or the UN or wherever. These people are globalists. They're extra national. And that brings me to my next point. The banking system. The banking system right now that's collapsing, that Switzerland used 1/8 of their GDP to bail out for Credit Suisse, that they completely broke all the rules and laws. They completely destroyed the bondholders of Credit Suisse. Here in the United States, where they're doing the exact same thing, just doing whatever they want, however they want, and there's nobody that's going to hold them accountable. You know why? Because it's the banking systems. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones that make the money, and it's a big confidence game. It's a big con job. As long as us common plebs, as long as us little folk have confidence in the banking system and in the dead president that's printed on your currency, as long as we have confidence in that, the merry-go-round can keep spinning. But as soon as people start to wake up, like they are in Spain, like they are in the UK, like they are in France, and they start protesting, and then eventually when it becomes more banking related, like it is here and in Europe right now, and then those protests turn into protests against the bank and saying, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take this anymore. I'm not going to be a slave to your debt. I'm not going to be a slave to this dead president who, if he were alive today, would be sickened by the state of this nation. That's when things change. That's when real change can happen. But until that point, they are going to continue. They're going to continue their tyranny. Why? Because they do not represent you. This idea of democracy is dead and buried in the Western world. Here in the United States, we have a fleeting chance to turn this thing around. But we need Donald Trump back in the White House. Oh, wait, Tom, you're just a big Trump fanboy. No, this is reality. Donald Trump has a vendetta. He loves this country, he loves the people, and he has a desire to be loved. That is a combination to me that seems like a man on a mission that's going to go in and just surgically remove all of the rot. And if I'm wrong, then God help us all. But I'm sorry, the hour is late and the time is dire. Do you have a better option? You want Ron DeSanctimonious up there? Oh, he's going to do real good. I heard he took the liquor license away from a hotel who was allowing minors to be sexually danced to by grown men in G-strings. Oh my God, that Ron DeSantis, he's so great. Screw you, Ron DeSantis. Screw you, Lindsey Graham. Screw you, Macron, and screw all of you. You all hated Donald Trump. You all tried to keep that man down. But we are who you are keeping down by keeping him down. He is there as a barrier between the tyranny that lurks in the shadows of these globalist organizations and governments. He's there as the last brick in the wall, keeping that from just enveloping all of us. It came for Alex Jones. It came for Donald Trump. It's coming for you next. If you think that is conspiracy or hyperbole, please pay attention, folks. Please pay attention. You think when the banking system collapses, they're not going to seize on that? They're not going to seize on that and enslave us further? You've got to be kidding yourself. Got to be kidding yourself. And then lastly, we're going to get on to what's happening over on the Eurasian continent. We have Putin being issued an arrest warrant by The Hague, the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Because again, who's going to arrest him? I would like to know. Let's just for a second imagine that America, Russia, and China were part of The Hague, which they're not, but let's imagine that they were. Right. What man in Russia is going to arrest Vladimir Putin? I'm talking about not the organization, the man, the individual. Who is going to be the man known to be putting the cuffs on Vladimir Putin? It's going to be a person who's suicidal or thinks that the system there is so corrupt that he can make a name for himself, much like Alvin Bragg is doing here. But let's say that Putin flies over to Germany. Who is going to be the man that puts the handcuffs on Vladimir Putin? It's going to be the equivalent of an Alvin Bragg, because over in Germany, they have this same corrupt fallacy that these people think that they're living under some sort of representative democracy, or however it works in Germany. I'm not going to pretend I know their system, but I do know they pretend to be a democracy, when the people in charge clearly don't give a damn about them. So in a place like that, then yeah, absolutely, someone will arrest Putin in order to make a name for themselves. So it's kind of scary to think that the authoritarian nature of Russia keeps things more stable than what is supposed to be a democracy that's been hijacked by globalist criminals. And that is where my mind has a very hard time of making sense of any of this world that we live in anymore. I forget what the term is. I forget the term, but it's basically on a long enough timeline, things tend to become more disordered. They become more chaotic, more unstructured, and the more you try to structure them, the further things fragment. And that's where we are. We're at the end of a very complex system, and there are a lot of tin pot dictators and petty tyrants that think that they have the ability to control time and space like God, but that's God's job. And there's a lot of people who think that they are God, or they can create God, or they can replace God, but they're just blaspheming. So you have this battle of mediocre men and weak, feckless individuals doing their best to scam, steal, destroy, and subjugate the entire population of Earth. And things are just unraveling at a quicker and quicker pace. And everybody wants to think that China thinks 2,000 years ahead, or the NIH is on top of the next pandemic, or everything's going to be fine the next election. But in reality, none of those things are true. None of them are true. China is collapsing the same way the United States is collapsing, the same way Russia is collapsing. The whole thing is collapsing. We're living on borrowed time, my friends. We are living on borrowed time. And to wrap this video up, I'm going to show you that it's not just me who is saying this, because as you guys might know, we have the dictator Winnie the Pooh, Xi Jinping, overseeing Vladimir Putin in Russia. And what did he have to say? He said, Xi Jinping, change is coming that hasn't happened in 100 years, and we are driving this change together. Putin, I agree. What does that mean? What happened 100 years ago? It's the end of the Western rules-based order. This is the new world order. And I've seen a lot of geopolitical commentators, like the Duran, for instance, who I started watching for good, objective, fact-based reporting on what's going on in Ukraine, and then they quickly shifted into a Chinese shill channel, a CCP shill channel. Because before, it was the multipolar world order, the fair rules-based international order. That's what China and Russia were going to bring. But now, even over the Duran, they're calling it the New World Order. How much more in the face does this crap have to be? It's insane to me that people are still not mad as hell and out in the streets peacefully protesting, peacefully demanding change, and peacefully driving the agenda to make their lives and their families' lives better. With that, my friends, thank you very much for watching. In the information war, knowledge is power, but awareness is victory. You guys have a great day. Follow me, comment, share. I'll see you next time.